Arch Manning, the Texas quarterback, is he the real deal or is he just someone living off his family's name? So today I just want to talk about Arch Manning and my expectations for him in this upcoming season. So when Arch Manning was originally recruited by the Texas Longhorns, I was like everybody else, and I kept thinking, this is Archie Manning's grandson, Arch. Like, this has got to be awesome. Like, his uncles are Peyton and Eli Manning. And I was sitting there thinking, like, wow, he's going to go in year one, first week one, and he's going to ball out. And he's going to be this great quarterback. And that's not exactly what happened. He went to Texas. They were switching from the Big 12 to the SEC. He sat for 2 seasons, and now his upcoming season is supposed to be his first full year as a starter. So what are my expectations for him? Just like most people, when I hear that Arch Manning was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school, I think, like, that's pretty good. If he's a 5-star quarterback, he's one of the best quarterbacks. He's actually the best quarterback in the 2023 recruiting class. So that's pretty awesome. And that means that he's got some tools. And from the highlights I can find from him in high school, he's pretty good. He had a lot of good things going for him in high school. But ultimately, he's in college now, and we have to get more college tape. So for him not playing his first 2 years, he's going to go into the season as a redshirt sophomore on a really good Texas Longhorns team that made it to the NCAA football playoffs last year. So there's a lot of good expectations for him, a lot of huge expectations. And not to mention, he is the grandson of Archie Manning, longtime starter for the New Orleans Saints, 2-time Pro Bowler, Peyton Manning, multiple-time NFL MVP, played for the Indianapolis Colts and Denver Broncos, had an amazing career, and won 2 Super Bowls. Eli Manning played his entire career for the New York Giants, won 2 Super Bowls, possibly as the biggest underdog in history, beating Tom Brady and the New England Patriots twice to win those Super Bowls. So just thinking about that, thinking about his family legacy, it's kind of like when you grow up and you buy your first car and you go to the exact same place where your dad and granddad purchased their first cars, and the people who work there are also the son and grandson of the original owner. And there's just that expectation, there's that lineage, that legacy with that car dealership. Same thing with the Manning family. There's that legacy, that expectation of greatness. When you follow all 3 Mannings that made it to the NFL, Archie, Peyton, and Eli, they all had very successful college careers with multiple seasons starting, and they were all drafted in the top 2 picks. Eli and Peyton were number 1 overall, and Archie was 2nd overall in his draft year. What are the expectations for Arch Manning? Well, ultimately, I feel like this season is going to be the make or break season for him. It's going to be the season where we kind of really get to see, like, okay, is he as polished as what we expected him to be? Is he going to be just balling out from week 1? He's been on the bench for 2 years learning this Texas Longhorns offense, learning behind his head coach, his offensive coordinators, and just kind of getting a feel for the game. Is he going to just go out and just start throwing touchdowns immediately, or is there going to be a little bit of a growing period where he has to learn more? I feel like he's going to have a really good first season. I think he's going to go out and he's going to prove a lot of people right and a lot of people wrong. I feel like a lot of people in the media are saying, okay, he's going to be the next great Peyton Manning. He's going to be the next best Eli Manning. No, he's going to be the first ever Arch Manning. He's going to live his own legacy. He's going to create his own legacy, and he's going to do it in Texas. He didn't follow his uncles. He didn't follow his grandfather in their colleges that they chose. He chose to go to Texas. He wants to create his own legacy. He wants to develop as a player. But just like the used car salesman analogy, he needs to learn his own way. He's got to learn from his uncles and grandfather and see what they did right and what they did wrong, and take that into what he's going to do as a college quarterback and as an NFL quarterback. I feel like he's probably going to stay at least 2 years at Texas. I don't think he's going to go and be drafted right away and go to the NFL. I feel like with the NIL money, he has incentive to stay in college, but also just with having 3 family members that have been in the NFL, he'll have them to talk to and kind of gauge himself on if he feels like he's ready to go to the NFL. Ultimately, all 3 of those players all went to really bad teams, and they had to grow with those teams and overcome a lot of challenges. So he will be prepared for that. I do feel like as far as his career goes, it's really hard to compare him to Peyton Manning or Eli Manning just because they were so different. Peyton Manning was the sheriff on his football team. He was the gunslinger, the guy who'd go up to the line of scrimmage and instantly call audibles, adjust plays, see what the defense was giving them, and find the best play that would exploit that defense. Eli Manning was the rough and hardy quarterback that could take so many hits and still just stand in the pocket and throw a deep pass. Win the game when the game mattered, when you were about ready to lose with only seconds left on the clock. That was Eli Manning's legacy. So I feel like Arch Manning is going to probably be somewhere in the middle, where he's going to have just as much skills or just a little bit less than Peyton Manning, but he's going to also be maybe just a little bit less tough than Eli. Someone who will still be there in the pocket and still be super accurate and not fall under pressure. Peyton Manning, definitely early on in his career, he had a hard time dealing with pressure. Eli Manning, he kind of had a lot easier time. He was definitely a lot more built for pressure. He did play in New York for his entire career. So I do feel like those are the two biggest differences between Peyton and Eli. And I feel like Arch Manning can ultimately learn from both of their experiences and pave his own way in his career, going from college to the NFL. And of course, he's already been a really good high school quarterback, so already has that going for him. So ultimately, I do feel like he has a lot of expectations, but I feel like they're all good expectations. He has good family members around him that can help teach him and help him grow into being a really good quarterback, both in college and in the NFL. And also, I feel like he has plenty of time. I know there's a lot of analysts that say, okay, he's going to just be one and done, and he's going to be the number one overall pick in next year's draft. He could be. He could do that if he wanted. But I do feel like with having so many family members that play in the NFL, he's going to take his time. He's going to go when he is ready. And ultimately, when he feels like he will be able to go to the NFL and be as successful as possible. I don't think he's going to wait for a certain team. I don't think he's going to wait for the NFL draft to switch to draft lottery like some analysts say. I feel like he's just going to take his time. He's going to see how far he can get. One amazing thing that he has going for him is he gets to start his legacy with the college playoff. Both Peyton, Eli, and Archie Manning didn't have that in college, but he gets to do that. And he has a chance to win a national championship. That'd be something that would set him apart. Especially when he goes to the NFL, there's going to be so many expectations, so much pressure on him. I feel like by him having a really good college career and being successful in the college playoff, that'll help him out immensely when he goes to the pros. He will have a really good reputation for being a playoff winning quarterback already. He'll have a good expectation of being consistent and being able to lead his teams to the playoffs. Something that both his uncles and his grandfather didn't have. Something that both his uncles and his grandfather didn't have in college. So he'll be able to definitely pave his own legacy and get his career started off on the right foot. So I'm going to be interested to see what he does week one, how well he grows this season, and how well he does playing against SEC teams, and if he does ultimately make the playoffs. I know Georgia's been kicking their butt a lot lately, so we're going to have to see if he can overcome Georgia this year, and ultimately if he can start his career off to where he is having success and that he is living up to the hype. So that's all I have for you guys today, and I'll catch you on the next video.